In a dark and terrifying room, Yi Jae cries on his knees as he claims he doesn't deserve this because he didn't do anything wrong. A mysterious woman suddenly shoots Yi Jae and throws him off a plane, but even with a hole in his forehead, Yi Jae opens his eyes. This all started 7 years ago. Yi Jae is on his way to an interview at a very prestigious company when suddenly a man runs through a busy road and gets hit by a car. Yi Jae checks on the guy, but he dies as he clutches onto Yi Jae's arm, leaving him very shaken. Later during the interview, Yi Jae is still going through his trauma and he can't answer anything properly, so he doesn't get the job. Having failed to secure a job, Yi Jae graduates with a big student debt, so he has to start getting menial jobs like delivery guy and waiter. His family can't help him because his father is dead and his mother is a janitor that already sacrificed a lot to give him a good education. Yi Jae never stops sending resumes to various companies, but he repeatedly fails to get a full-time job. After 7 years of working part-time jobs, Yi Jae finally gets an interview at the big company again. Interviewer Tae-yu is impressed by the resume, and Yi Jae leaves the meeting with high hopes. However, he soon gets a call from a friend, who informs him that all the money they invested in another friend's deal is gone because the guy disappeared. Yi Jae rushes to his friend's apartment and starts pounding on the door, but nobody answers. Since those were all his savings, Yi Jae gets furious and starts hitting the door with a fire extinguisher until he falls to his knees as he has a breakdown. Moments later he ends up in the police station for destruction of property, so Yi Jae asks the cops to arrest his friend. However, they can't do anything because investing in a business that failed isn't illegal. In the evening Yi Jae goes to see his girlfriend Jisoo, who comes out of a car with a guy that gives her flowers. Once the man is gone, Yi Jae approaches her, who immediately smells that he's been drinking. She mentions that he hasn't been able to get much work this month and gives him an envelope, but he thinks of it as charity and realizes he's been nothing but a burden. Thinking their relationship won't go anywhere, Yi Jae breaks up with her. Moments later Yi Jae goes to his apartment, only to discover that the landlord has kicked him out and he's keeping the deposit to make up for overdue rent. All of Yi Jae's things have been left outside under the rain, so he has to move as much stuff as possible to protect it. Sadly, there isn't much room and when morning comes, he's lost many of his things. After spending the night sleeping on the ground, Yi Jae gets a message from the company saying he failed his interview. After having another breakdown, Yi Jae decides he's had enough and self-deletes in the middle of the city, ignoring the call from his mother. Darkness takes over for a few seconds and then Yi Jae discovers he's in a private plane. When he looks at his reflection, he freaks out because his face has changed, and at that moment he notices the mysterious lady sitting nearby. She has his goodbye letter in her hands, but she magically burns it before taking off her shades, revealing bright red eyes. Suddenly Yi Jae is transported to the terrifying room with a tall tower in the middle of a red sea and demons trying to climb up. The lady reveals she's Death and she's brought him here to punish him because he made a mockery of her. She grabs him by the neck and throws him off the edge, so the monsters try to grab him as he falls. There are lots of creatures waiting for him in the water, but when he crashes, he wakes up in the plane with the other face again. Death is there too and explains that she'll make Yi Jae die 12 more times as a punishment. His soul will enter the bodies of 12 people facing imminent death, and he'll die regardless of where he ends up. However, if he manages to evade a death, he'll be allowed to keep that life. Yi Jae doesn't care about those deaths because he wants to end it all, but after Death disappears, the plane enters a raging storm. Unconsciously panicking, Yi Jae puts on the life jacket and fastens his seat belt while the flight attendant comes to tell him that it's just some turbulence. After a few minutes of shaking, the plane stabilizes and the attendant lets Yi Jae alone. Still confused, Yi Jae starts looking around and realizes he's in the body of a very rich person. Suddenly a glowing pebble enters his mind, informing him of the details of the person he's possessing. This guy is the CEO of the important company Yi Jae applied to, and he's been rich his whole life. Tae-yu is his older brother and they competed since they were kids over everything, including who would lead the company. All his hard work allowed him to win his father's approval and eventually he was chosen to become the new CEO. Yi Jae is very pleased by this lifestyle and decides he wants to keep it, but at that moment an engine blows up. The plane starts going down at great speed and Yi Jae has to dodge all the sliding furniture before going back to his seat to fasten the seat belt. The pilot tries to control the plane to no avail and the fire spreads, creating a hole in the side of the plane that sucks out the pilot and the flight attendant. Yi Jae can only watch as an explosion makes the whole plane catch on fire and is soon burned to death. Afterward Yi Jae wakes up in the dark room, which is now a barren area with a creepy glowing door and a desk for Death. On this desk, a clock counts down the lives Yi Jae has left. While Death puts a bunch of bullets in her gun, she explains a few things. The souls from those bodies are already dead, so Yi Jae isn't stealing their lives, he's just giving the bodies a second chance. If he fails to survive in all of them, he'll go to hell, and Death decides to give him a preview. She grabs Yi Jae and takes him behind the door, where he sees indescribable horrors. When Death takes him out, Yi Jae has his breakdown, returning to the beginning. He doesn't understand what he did to deserve hell, so Death says he's guilty of finding her before she could find him. She also reveals that depending on his actions, if he survives in one of the 12 bodies, he may avoid going to hell. Yi Jae decides he'll try to survive after all and Death shoots him to send him into the second life.